Dear friends, welcome to another episode of Geopolitical and Military News. In this video, we will talk about a recent statement by Elon Musk, who said that there is no way Russia can be defeated and that the best course of action now is to block the defensive support from the United States to Ukraine. In a statement made last Monday, February 12, billionaire Elon Musk, owner of major companies like Tesla, SpaceX, and the former social media platform Twitter, said that there is no way Russia can be defeated in Ukraine and therefore the best course of action at the moment is to block further defensive support from the United States. According to Elon Musk, Putin simply cannot stop the war he himself started on February 24, 2022, and cannot accept refusals either, as Musk claims he would be assassinated if he did. He also called on American voters to pressure their senators and congressmen not to approve the proposed law that would send $61 billion in military aid to Ukraine. With Musk ensuring that, despite his statements that Putin cannot be defeated and his request for vital American aid to Ukraine to be cancelled, he is not pro-Russian. Elon Musk's statements were backed by some Republican senators and congressmen, such as Republican Senator Ron Johnson, who said that anyone believing in a Ukrainian victory is living in a fantasy world. The Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Republican Mike Johnson, said he won't even bring the Senate-approved bill for a $61 billion defensive aid package for Ukraine to a vote in the House. With all this Republican-led blockade by former President and current Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. But to what extent do Elon Musk's recent statements and those of some American politicians actually correspond to the truth? Can Russia, under Vladimir Putin, really not be defeated in Ukraine? The quick and direct answer is, Russia, under Vladimir Putin, really cannot be defeated in Ukraine. In his statement, Elon Musk pointed out a very important and true point by saying that if Putin is defeated or begins to show signs of tension or retreat in some areas, he could be ousted from power or even assassinated, paving the way for a successor who, according to Elon Musk, could be even more radical and bloodthirsty than Putin himself. This is indeed a great truth. When Putin invaded Ukraine, many believed it would be a quick war and that the West would do, in February 2022, what it did in February 2014 when Putin invaded Ukraine and annexed Crimea, with Europe, the United States, and NATO merely issuing statements of condemnation. However, in 2022, as we know, it was very different, with dozens of countries coordinating and launching the largest defensive support operation since World War II. Thanks to all this support, the Russian invasion of Ukraine has turned into a terribly long and costly war for both sides. And although there is no safe and official count of casualties, we know that hundreds of thousands of Russians and Ukrainians have been killed or wounded in a war that is approaching its second year. Much of the Russian economy is currently geared towards the war, and although Putin fully controls Russian public opinion through very tight censorship laws and a gigantic and powerful state propaganda machine, he knows that there are always adversaries ready to attack as soon as he shows the slightest sign of weakness, with the main signal in this regard being defeat in Ukraine or willingness to retreat, relinquishing part of the conquered territories. Therefore, when it is said that Russia under Vladimir Putin cannot be defeated, it is because as long as Putin is sitting in the Kremlin, the war will not effectively end, with Putin preferring to indefinitely maintain a terrible and costly war than to show weakness through a retreat or even a partial defeat. Putin has on his side the vast natural and human resources of Russia and can indeed sustain this war for many years, even while losing hundreds of men and dozens of vehicles and armored vehicles every day. And Putin also has in his favor what is seen as the guaranteed victory of Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential elections in the United States. As I mentioned at the beginning, it is Trump who is pushing for Congress not to approve the military aid package for Ukraine, because if Ukraine is abandoned, it will be defeated and forced to cede to Putin all the territories he demands. And therefore, with Ukrainian defeat, the war will obviously end, and Trump can say that he was responsible for ending that conflict. It is a clearly inverted and flawed logic, but in Trump's and many Republicans' minds, what matters is that the war ends, even if it results in the end of Ukraine as a sovereign nation and with Putin victorious, annexing territories as if it were still 1941. All of this serves to show that Russia, with Putin in power, really cannot be defeated for the simple reason that if that happens, Putin will know that he will not simply be replaced in the next election, he knows very well that he will be overthrown in a coup, arrested, and most likely executed by the next would-be dictator. That war has only two possible scenarios. In one, the United States and Europe drastically reduce the aid sent to Ukraine, making it impossible to continue defense and forcing Kiev to accept defeat, giving Putin all the territories he intended to annex, with the other scenario being the continuation of the war indefinitely, a true endless war, with Ukrainians receiving enough external aid to prevent major Russian offensives and with Putin launching consecutive waves of soldiers and armored vehicles into the battlefield. The result of this endless war will be a pile of millions of dead and wounded Russians and Ukrainians, with Ukraine devastated in its attempt to protect itself from invasion and with Russia, with its material and human resources being drained and slowly depleted. All of this to satisfy the expansionist desire of a man who cannot, under any circumstances, lose that war. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now to support us, and leave your like. Until next time.